No, how did you feel about 50 Cent coming in? Like, I had forgotten, by the way, that what he was doing hanging upside down was a reference to the video in the club, right?
It took me a second to remember it, but even then, I was like, you probably shouldn't have done this, baby.
I'm going to say, girl, the blood's rushing to your head. I don't want to see it. How often is he addressed as girl? Am I the first? Okay.
Welcome to Keep It, Crooked Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III, a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Fertel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
And I'm Aida Osman. I'm a TV writer and alleged comedian.
Let's get into it.
So I would say the second week of Black History Month started off better than the first.
Oh, good.
Despite decades of hip-hop at the center of pop music, rap finally took center stage for the first time at the Super Bowl.
There have been rap and hip-hop elements previously. I felt like it was sort of dramatized how much this is the first of its kind or whatever. I mean, clearly Missy Elliott was a part of the Katy Perry Super Bowl. My favorite rapper, Madonna, headlined her entire own Super Bowl. I don't know if you've listened to American Life recently, but wow, she really took it to the streets with that one.
You know what? I aspire to have an agent and a manager, a lawyer, and a
chef.
Okay. I think actually all of those qualify if I count HelloFresh.
Yeah. Yeah, you're Madonna. You're Madonna.
There was a lot centered around the fact that this was, like West Coast rap because the Super Bowl was in LA. Go Rams, etc. I guess they won. What was interesting about the Super Bowl in general, just being in LA this year, was you forget how much like of an event the Super Bowl is in terms of like celebrity, and
Right.
You will usually have celebrities like going to their hometown. Like if like celebrities were from Atlanta, will usually be like at the Super Bowl if it's in Atlanta, and if it's somewhere else where celebrities don't usually go unless they're filming a movie or on tour, some of them will still show up because the Super Bowl is like an event, right? I felt like there were more random celebrities that I'd expect to see at the Super Bowl this year just because it was in LA.
Oh, yeah. Well, we got the Ellen selfie, of course. And then there was J-Lo and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, I saw.
Kanye there in his mask.
Right. That he would be taking precautions. I mean, wow. You can go all the way around and come back to conservatism. I have no idea. Or he's liberal. I have no idea.
And then, unfortunately, he was seated in front of Judd Apatow. We had Judd Apatow live Instagramming what Kanye was doing at the Super Bowl. And I'm like, Can you let your daughter be in the forefront, Judd? Okay? I'm actually loving Maude on Euphoria, and you know what? I need less from Judd Apatow.
Euphoria is something where it has now been described to me so many times. I've seen like the first half of the first season. I know I'm like, it's my job as a pop culture podcaster to be up on things like Euphoria. Unfortunately, it's a blind spot for me. Now it has taken on such legend in my mind from the people who will not shut up about it that I feel like I can never see it because clearly they're exaggerating what is happening on this show. I get that
they're absolutely
wild.
not.
Okay.
They're absolutely not. The show is insane. And I will actually say I've been watching it through memes, as I've discussed before, because I haven't dived into this season in full. But I did watch Sunday's episode after a Super Bowl party, and I enjoyed it. But it's weird that this show has taken hold as the teen show of the moment. And I will say that historically, there's always going to be a teen show that everyone is watching. And when people are shocked that like straight men watch Euphoria, like Jack Harlow tweeted like Team Maddie, and people were shook. I was like, there's always a teen show that like when it takes hold, every demographic watches it. Like straight men were watching The OC.
Right. Yeah, there is always room for one that everybody like gets obsessed. There's something about like that age of character where you in particular get obsessed with them. Because like it's everybody's so extreme all the time. I don't know. There's something addictive about that. But anyway, here we are back at the Super Bowl where all of our favorites were performing. Can I tell you something that shocked me? Immediately when I see a bunch of famous people in a context like this, I need to look up how old they are. You know what? They are really not that old. Like, these people have been famous forever and ever and ever. Like, Mary J. Blige probably coming up on 30 years, right? What's the 411? That's like 92, I think. She's like barely 50. It's like all of these people started up pretty young. So it's not even really like an old timers convention. It's not like you're getting, the kind of Kennedy Center honors each group here.
It is weird now that we've gotten to the point where most of the music we grew up with is now nostalgia for the Super Bowl.
Right. No. Oh, no. It's a mortality check for me, certainly. But no, I mean, I've been making hateration, holleration jokes for 2 decades now. Wow. Look at me go.
And some of them are funny.
Yeah, thank you. That's not really the point of them. Please don't mischaracterize my art. But yeah.
First of all, Mary J. Blige was maybe my favorite part.
But first of all, they definitely J-Lo'd her out, which I didn't know we were going to do with her. But okay, fine.
She's a singer.
Yeah.
That is usually what I love about Mary J. Blige, that she can sing.
Right.
And she was giving pop performance.
Right. It was Vox Lux adjacent, the level of shiny and singing. Yes.
But I was actually really shocked like how much I enjoyed this performance. You know, I thought it was like a really solid Super Bowl halftime show, and I usually am only interested in divas performing.
I will say there's, I think, an advantage to having a whole bunch of performers and just like getting it down to like a song a piece and then passing it on, you know, because if for instance, if you're not into Justin Timberlake and he's doing the entire Super Bowl, like he can hardly, you may like one song more than another, but like you basically can make up your mind about the entire thing in 2 seconds, you know, whereas in this case, you know, you start with who was like Snoop Dogg or something. And like, I'll be honest, when Snoop Dogg performs, I'm going to sleep. Sorry. It's just not that dynamic for me. And then when you get into the other songs, you know, when Mary J appears or something, it's like, oh, a spike, etc. So it's sort of more old Hollywood. It's like a variety show.
You know, I would say that aside from Mary J, Kendrick Lamar was
he was
great,
the best part.
because one thing Kendrick Lamar is going to do is give you a performance on TV.
He weirdly is like among the more theatrical, like traditionally theatrical performers we have. Whenever he's in an award show, I've brought this up like 50,000 times. When he did Damn at the BET Awards, like 6 years ago or something, that was not normal how good it was, like compared to any award show performance. So in a way, he should have been centered this entire time. And by the way, he is so much younger than everybody else in this show. He is younger than I am, which makes me mad.
He is shorter than us too.
That's true. Oh, isn't he like 5'4"?
I don't think it ever really highlighted for me how short Kendrick Lamar was until this performance. Just like when they all stood on the stage at the end, like, you know, like the West Coast Avengers, which is an actual comic book that no one needs to read. But it was just highlighting how short he was.
Which is unforgivable. Sorry. Stardom is for tall people.
How did you feel about your favorite performer, Eminem?
Well, I'll be honest. He gave me exactly what I expected. Like there were no creative choices involved. He gave you Lose Yourself. He gave you the song you would hear during a Gatorade commercial, which makes sense. But at the same time, it also felt like no time had passed either. Like he's utterly the same. His skills are the same, you know.
I would say a fumbled protest. I could not tell what he was doing.
Yeah, right. So I was like, okay, that is referencing that, right? Okay, great, whatever, sure.
Remember Colin Kaepernick?
What if he said that? Like as he gets down on one knee, he goes, "Remember Colin Kaepernick?"
I was like, didn't he not want any of you performing at this show? Wasn't that the whole thing?
Right, yeah. That's what was confusing. I was like, so you shouldn't be there. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Now, how did you feel about 50 Cent coming in? Like, I had forgotten, by the way, that what he was doing hanging upside down was a reference to the video in the club, right?
It took me a second to remember it, but even then, I was like, you probably shouldn't have done this, baby.
I'm going to say, girl, the blood's rushing to your head. I don't want to see it. How often is he addressed as girl? Am I the first? Okay.
I think Vivica Fox addresses him as girl every time she discusses him. His performance was actually, to use today's secret password, unhinged.
Yes, even though he was literally hinged, hanging from something.
It was literally hinged. And then once he got down, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be ageist. And I think I'm allowed to do that because all 50 Cent does is spend his afternoons bullying women on Instagram, like Madonna and Lil' Kim, and Vivica Fox. You know, it was weird because like I do not think I've seen or thought of this man in the context of performing like in well over a decade.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
he had his definitely not since like Ayo Technology with Justin Timberlake, because he
which
got
revolutionized Silicon Valley, by the way.
Yeah. That's what the Uber show's about.
Yeah. Oh, now I get it.
Yeah. He got his vitamin water money, and so we haven't had to see him perform. You know, like that's not his bag anymore. He now just makes a different spin-off of Power every week.
Right, there's like 90 there's literally something like 4 or 5 spin-offs of that show on Starz.
The Book of Power 75.
Woof, weird.
More books than the fucking Bible.
Yeah.
Sorry, Christians. But it was weird seeing him, 1, perform again, and 2, seeing him try and like recapture the youthful feeling of that video, because he was on stage out of breath, and in contrast to like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, who have perfect breath control still, were like rapping their songs with no problem, and 50 here can't even do In the Club, and everyone can do that at karaoke.
Right. And also, well, again, he was hanging upside down. It's like, did you think you were Mary Martin? Sorry, it's just not for everybody. What if he said that? I thought I was Mary Martin.
And then once he was standing upright, making all those female dancers just grind on him with the intensity of like a J-Lo performance.
Which is arguably the most intense. That's pure panic. Yeah.
People have died during J-Lo performances. That's how intense they are.
You can always watch the J-Lo Shakira Super Bowl performance. That really is pure joy from beginning to end. And you forget how much individual time they both get. Like, you really get a crash course in like Shakira's discography, for example, like songs you forgot about, songs you've heard a million times. That's they really killed it that time.
What's interesting is this is like the first year where we didn't really get any people are being too sexual at the Super Bowl, except for that weirdo Charlie Kirk, who I don't think has ever even masturbated before. So he called the performance sexual anarchy. But it's so funny just to think of like the history of this music and how them performing at the Super Bowl, like when they first came out, would have garnered protests.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just like, we've been around this music for like 30 years.
Right. This is
it's tame now.
It's extremely old to make that comment. I mean, truly, that sounds like someone talking about Elvis on the Ed Sullivan Show. I mean, oh no, not hip movement, not a knowing look in his eye, or whatever they think is so nefarious.
Anyway, I still have no idea what to think about in terms of the NFL and like the Black community and protests and whatever Jay-Z is doing as his initiative and having teamed up with them. And I officially don't care anymore.
Again, if you're not going to be a compelling sport to me, I can hardly make a case for you. Sorry. I've talked about this before. If you're going to wear a helmet, I can't see the pain in your eyes. I can't know your story. You know, it's not like King Richard, where every time, you know, they take a swing, I'm like, oh, I know her angst. I relate to her in this moment. So unfortunately, it's just not an emotionally well drawn out sport.
You know, I think that more football players should wear like halter tops.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, they
cut
should
off was because there's some very hot football players.
And you would never know it because they have to wear these contraptions. They look like giant orthodontic correcting things.
Yeah. In 2022, I don't care about the NFL and social justice anymore. Like, I can't be bothered. So let's focus on making the NFL sexy. Okay? Make concussion sexy again.
Yeah. By the way, I brought this up before. Can you believe there's not been an Onion article about like Puppy Bowl veterans coming out as concussed or something? Wouldn't that be a cute little article? Anyway, I don't write for the Onion. I just want to tell them what to do.
You should pitch that.
Okay.
And we're back with our favorite segment of the episode. It is Keep It. Lewis, what's your Keep It this week?
Well, my Keep It is to my main viewing this past Sunday, which I guess should have been the Super Bowl, but I pulled a 180 and watched the real event, which was Marry Me with Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. And I have to say, keep it to whatever that was for a couple of reasons. One, no movie has been given away in a trailer more. I am shocked at how little else there was in the movie besides what you see in the trailer, which was to be fair, like 6 minutes long. So I don't know what else I expected to get out of this movie.
It was Netflix trailer level.
Definitely. Even the supporting characters who, would almost never find time in a normal trailer. Like, I knew every beat Sarah Silverman was going to give. I knew what detours the relationship between J-Lo and Owen Wilson would take. But in general, the main problem with this movie is they set up with an interesting concept. Oh, this pop star is humiliated via TMZ and has to find a new husband to marry live on whatever, Instagram. The movie is obsessed with social media. It has phone screens up constantly. And then after that, after she marries Owen Wilson, who's like, shrug emoji the entire time, it doesn't know what to do with the two of them. Like, really, it is just about two people, one whom is very famous, one who is a normal teacher, kind of just doing stuff together. This time we're on a Ferris wheel. Now we're walking around. It doesn't have anything for them to do until they finally break up and resolve, which is the end of the movie. But in the middle of it, it's just this blank space that's like not filled with jokes, not filled with drama. And then also the thing that's missing from it, and I think missing from, in general, most Jennifer Lopez starring vehicles, outside of Hustlers, where she gives this critical thing, this character has no personality. And I feel like J-Lo, from time to, I bring it up all the time. There's a famous Movie Line interview with J-Lo from the late 90s where she's kind of trashing a bunch of people. And even though that's incendiary, you really get a sense of her as a personality. It's like a spicy interview. In most of her starring vehicles, The Wedding Planner, in Made in Manhattan, it's like there's a calculated lack of any discernible personality traits other than nice person who looks amazing. And I feel like that's not enough to carry a movie, generally speaking. And in this movie, it's like I wanted her to have something. I wanted her to be like bossy or a weirdo star, like out of touch with reality. And they kind of get into a comic beat with that at the end of the movie where she's on a plane trying to chase this guy down to Peoria to like profess her love to him. But otherwise, they forget that she needs to be an interesting character and she's not.
I think that's a problem with a lot of films of this ilk, not to be a screenwriter referencing Save the Cat. But, it misses the fun section of the script, the fun of your concept. The concept of this film is, like the superstar marries like this regular teacher and then falls for him, They always have like this big concept. You get to the concept and then it's like, okay, we don't really actually know what we want to do with this concept.
Right.
Until we wrap up the movie where they sort of get together. It's like the movie has been sold off of the first act. And then there's no second act to speak of.
I can read the log line in my head. I can see what got people excited, and then they didn't resolve it correctly. Also, all my favorite rom-coms have really interesting stars in it. Again, Moonstruck comes up every year, but the dynamite thing about that movie is that every character could be their own individual movie. They're such strong personalities, and so to see them wrapped up in a whirlwind romance is particularly rewarding, whereas here they're all archetypal. And man, Owen Wilson is definitely giving you whatever, I guess I'm in this movie energy the entire time.
Makes me really excited for that movie Shotgun Wedding, which was originally supposed to have Armie Hammer in it.
Oh,
it's
yes.
J-Lo and I don't even know who now. A lot of these films, rom-coms, also sort of miss conflict because there's conflict in the initial log line and story, but then there's never any other conflict in the film. And like when you think of like a Moonstruck, when you think of any of your favorite romantic comedies, it's just there's always something else going on.
Mm-hmm. And of course, this is a good time to shout out When Harry Met Sally, because the awesome thing about that movie is it's about the ambiguity of their relationship. Like, it's not until the last moments that they actually decide they're romantic. It's two people solving what is this? We're friends and we're fine with being friends. And then because of that, it's surprising when the relationship does evolve. So I wish this movie had played more with the possibilities in their relationship and didn't just set up an obvious, it turns out she does love him ultimately. Like, what? Come on.
As much as I love J-Lo, my Leo queen, she really does love playing just like a nice, racially ambiguous lady.
Right.
Most of her films, like Made Manhattan and like Wedding Planner, like she's just named something like Mary, some white woman's name, and it's always like a white love interest too. It's very come on, Sharon in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, right. Yet again, she's
I
back.
don't know why I hate that bitch, but
Yeah,
I need people to stop making movies for Sharon Kalamazoo. Sharon Kalamazoo knows what she did.
Storm the Capitol. Ira, what's your keep it?
My keep it involves a lot of things. It's really the Kanye and Kim situation right now. There's a lot I could say keep it to. One, the breakup with Julia Fox, which just sort of happened unceremoniously, which is sort of disappointing because the relationship was sold to us as this like outsized, like attention grabbing, like fun, like celebrity, like detour. Like I kind of enjoyed it while it was happening. But then to just get sort of like a news announcement that, yeah, by the way, we broke up. I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, she wore all these vinyl crop tops for nothing.
And now the sort of narrative is, like, oh, she knew what she was getting into. She didn't love Kanye. She was just like having a good time, like blowing up her celeb a bit. And like now she's going to go back to being like niche downtown it girl. I'm like, all right. Well, I don't love the third act of this rom-com. So thanks. But my real keep it, I guess, is to grown men rewriting the Kanye and Kim romance. Because here's my thing. When Kanye and Kim were together, I routinely would hear people say, oh, the Kardashians are ruining Kanye, Or like you wanted Kanye to get back to the Kanye he was before he was wrapped up in, everything that was going on in that family. But now the narrative, because Kanye has decided that like Kim Ye forever, and he is, insanely trying to win her back by sharing private text conversations and asking fans to beat up Pete Davidson like he's Taylor Swift trying to defend her songwriting honor. It seems insane to me, right? Now the narrative is they loved Kanye and Kim together and need to get them back together.
I'm almost certain that's not the case. I'm not bent on that one way or the other.
But it's like his fans in the comments and everywhere else. It's like, get this man and his wife back together. True love. I'm like, it's really deranged.
Also, I don't know that anything with Kanye West is true, let alone love. So let's not put those together.
That's fair.
He lives in a pseudo reality that most people are not invited to.
So that is just like the weirdest part of this to me. This rewriting of, oh, we really want them to be back together. And I think that will sometimes happen with celebrity couples.
Oh, I remember when there was the moment when Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman broke up. I'm like, fate put you together and on the earth at the same time, and I'm supposed to see you two interact sometimes and be cute and utterly short. And so when they finally got back together, I was relieved. But at the same time, I don't need them.
Are they even back together?
I think so.
I thought they just like hung out.
That could be. Whatever. So they're together in my mind, pooling their Emmy nominations and yeah.
I don't know. That feels like my grandfather on my dad's side and my grandmother. It's like a thing where I thought that they'd split up when I was younger because my grandfather was living in Vegas. And my grandmother was living in Maryland. And then turns out they never got a divorce. And now they're just living back together again in Raleigh. And I'm like, okay, is that just what older people do?
Sometimes people make the active choice of whatever.
Actually, I think that's my favorite kind of celebrity, like coupling. Like I'm always enamored with like an Elizabeth Taylor marriage, like the celebrities who break up, get a divorce, maybe get married again, and then get remarried to the person that they were married to before. Those are my favorite, because that's just sort of like, all right, you know what? I did miss this person.
Right. Well, with Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, I mean, that's sort of like, I'll say Batman and the Joker. It's like, we were meant to be adversaries, I need a sparring partner, and that's who you are.
Yeah. Anyway, I would love it if more random celebrities got back together with former paramours.